Visit worldrolodex.com/grange to learn more. How to make any man beg you for commitment. Terrific advice from a cat. Here's a fun, slightly evil, little experiment that you should definitely try out. Sneak up on a cat, as quietly as you can, and try to pick it up. I'm being completely serious here. Sneak up on that cat as quietly as a cat sneaks up on mice, and scoop it up like it's a fumbled football. You might call this crazy, and you're not wrong if you do, but I prefer the word educational. 9 times out of 10, that cat's going to take off like it's on bath salts. You'll probably also get a few claw scratch beauty marks for your trouble. There are few things to take away from this experiment. Number 1, don't ever do it again. Number 2, the cat ran away because cats hate any kind of sneakiness that isn't their own sneakiness. Number 3, men aren't cats, but you shouldn't get sneaky with them either. A lot of women try to get their man to commit like trying to snatch up a cat, and the rate of success is just about the same. Oh, by the way, I am not saying it's your fault. In most cases, it's never the woman's fault because she basically doesn't understand the weirdness of the male mind. More on this later. Now, let's try an experiment that actually isn't impulsive. Instead of stalking the cat, let's try approaching from the front so that it knows we're there. Cats, like men, are visual creatures. Cats prefer to see things coming. By approaching from the front, we can actually get into its personal space without making the cat hate us. After you accomplish the task of getting close to cat while it sees you, like a normal person, you can gently pet it and it might not hiss and take off like a bottle rocket. Men are bigger than cats and not so great at slipping under the sofa at a moment's notice, but it's the principle here that counts. At the first hint that a woman is trying to be sneaky with them, they're going to make themselves scarce. Lots of men today are already a little bit paranoid about potential hidden motives of their partners, and you definitely don't want to give him a good reason to be on guard. Spies aren't known for having stable relationships, so save the sneakiness for the secret agents. Now, here is the weird bit. You might not be sneaky whatsoever, but in the crazy world of men, what you think is completely innocent might be seen as evil if you were to look at the same from a male lens. There's just one thing that we need to remember above all else: men, and also cats, for the record, love their freedom. To a man, being free and being alive are one and the same. The threat of losing his freedom is even scarier to a man than cliff diving, public speaking, earthquakes, and romantic comedy movie marathons combined. To put it simply, if you want to lose a man as quickly as possible, grab onto him as tightly as possible. He'll slip out of your grasp like an eel and put 3 oceans of distance between the two of you in one fluid motion. To a man, the thought of getting locked down to the wrong woman is the same thing as death. It's not that they're afraid of the concept of getting locked down, though, but just that a relationship with the wrong woman feels no better to him than being in prison. Prison means no freedom, and no freedom means no life. But there is one thing you can do right now that will make any man chase you to the point of madness and literally make a fool out of himself to win you over. So what is this one thing, you ask? I call it mesmerizing phrases. Here is a personal video for you explaining how this works. In short, this is a set of psychological hidden messages that provoke any man to feel so much addictive love that he'll fall at your feet just for a moment of your attention. This means that the same commitment-phobic man will now desperately kneel at your feet and will gently slide a ring across your finger to seal the deal forever. Article 2: How to become his greatest addiction. These tricks are magic. What I am about to share will change your life for the better. I'll show you how to become any man's greatest addiction, with just one simple question. Here is what I mean when I say his greatest addiction. Now he will desire to study you more than an honors student studies textbooks for midterms. You will, hands down, be the best addiction he's ever had. You'll have a special tenure in his heart, which basically means that there won't be anything you could say that would make him love you less after getting to this point. He's not going to miss even a single chance to show how highly you rank on his list of favorite things in the world. Spoiler alert, if you do this correctly, your rank on that list of his will always be number 1, by default. His sweet little whispers of "I love you" are basically going to become like a permanent fixture at the end of his sentences. That might sound a little impossible right now, as you're naturally a bit skeptical, but I promise you that by the end of this adventure, you're going to feel more and more that it's possible, as a wide grin smears across your face. But before I can hand you the keys to becoming his ultimate addiction, I need to show you how it's going to become possible. Now I am sure by now you must already be wondering, or you might even be a bit curious, as to how all of this even going to be possible? Actually, it's much simpler than it may seem, and it all starts with a very basic question: what is it that makes a man tick? The answer is a single word: challenge. Men want to be protectors. Men want to be hunters. Men want to be protagonists in the narrative of the world. But above all else, men want to be challenged. When a man comes across something that presents a serious but surmountable challenge, he is able to receive a continuously rewarding emotional feeling from it. The challenge itself will become a continuously emotionally rewarding reality that he lives in. Now, the best way to describe this is to imagine what the most stereotypical hobbies there are that most men enjoy. Think of things like fast-paced sports cars blazing down the road, movies filled with gigantic explosions, graphic and gory violence in video games, and even the smoking muzzles of gigantic guns used for taking down wild boars in the woods. When you consider all of the stereotypical images that invoke the pictures of men who are like children in a candy store, what do you think that it could possibly be that makes a man want to not only see but experience those things in the very first place? What is it that gets a man's mind to feel so stimulated by these images, that he is compelled to seek them out over and over again, as if he is experiencing them for the very first time 1,000 times over? The answer to this question is in the specific way that it makes him feel. In order to understand what it is that motivates a man to seek out these hobbies, we need to understand the core nature of the feeling that these things give him. This is an exercise that requires taking a step outside of oneself and temporarily living in the reality of a man who is completely captivated by action-packed movie sequences, speeding cars, and ballistic shells ripping through the underbrush to take down a hulking boat. The answer to the question is that these things give him a little or even big boost of a beautiful little something called adrenaline. Remember, adrenaline is the hormone that gives human beings their instinct to either fight or flee in the face of imminent danger or in the face of extreme stimulus. It is all for the sake of the thrill. There is a lightning-fast adrenal buildup that happens every single time a man is thinking or imagining any of these stereotypical masculine obsessions. Now, even though you yourself may not be a speeding sports car or a gigantic hunting rifle, you can create the same effect. The problem isn't that it is impossible for women to match up to the things that hold a man's attention, but the fact that many women simply don't know how to go about it in a way that is effective and naturally sustainable is what causes the real issue. It might be easy to assume that all it takes to stimulate a man is to appear sexually attractive, but the truth of the matter is this. It takes something on a more intimate level to tap into this reservoir of endless attention that a man gives to his most cherished hobbies. We are not just looking to visually stimulate a man, but we are looking to become masters of the emotional wind-up action that sets off his momentum to seek out satisfaction and stimulation. To put it as simply as possible, you must learn the little-known ability to keep a man constantly emotionally wound up over an extended period of time. So now the question is, how do you do it? Well, for this purpose you will need something that I call secret mesmerizing phrases. Here is a video that explains how these phrases can emotionally wind up a man to feel intensely powerful levels of love in your presence. Visit worldrolodex.com/grange to learn more.